Hello guys and welcome to another tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how I made my profile picture in Adobe Photoshop. I'm using Adobe Photoshop CC. Of course you can use previous versions. Just keep in mind if a feature is not there, that's because I'm using the latest version of CC as of this recording. Obviously you can use later ones after CC if they come out, and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be using, so if you want to follow along, just get the same thing as me. And yeah, so I'm going to be showing you guys how I made my profile picture with the Minecraft character and stuff and things like that. So here we are in Photoshop. First thing you want to do is open a new Photoshop project, and I'm going to name it profile picture. Alright, and then you want it to be 2000 by 2000 pixels. If you are having troubles and it's slow, I would go down to 1000 on both, or even 500 if that's still giving you issues. So yeah, that's just to get rid of lag if you guys don't have the best computers. And yeah, just whatever you do, make sure both these numbers are the same. That way you get a square image. You don't want any rectangles or anything like that. Alright. Resolution 72, RGB 8-bit transparent, blah blah blah. All that should be the same. Alright, go ahead and press OK. And we are ready to go. Now the first thing you should do is hit, well, we can't save yet because we haven't made any changes, so we'll do that in just a second. Anyways, so here is our toolbar. I'm just going to go over some basics that I'm going to be using in this tutorial so you guys can follow along as best as you can without getting lost. We're going to be using a majority of 3 tools. This is our move tool. Shortcut is V if you want to get to it right away just by hitting your keyboard instead of going over here and clicking it. This one is select, the select tool. You can go ahead and press M to select it. So if I go back to V, that's our move tool, and if I hit M, that'll get our select tool, so you can toggle between them. And I lied for so our bucket tool, our fill bucket tool, that is G. So that'll give you your fill bucket tool, and yet again you can still toggle through those. And then our final one that we're going to be using mostly is the pen tool, which is P, and this is the tool we're going to be using to make all of our lines and stuff. As you notice, you just click, and if you click and drag, it creates like a little line thing, and then you basically make a path, and this is what we're going to be creating our lines with. You can close the path. Let me get a better example by deleting that. So let me just make like a really simple shape. You can close the path by clicking the first point you made. So notice how the first point I made is this one right here. If you go back and click on the final point, it'll close the mask and that'll make a nice closed off shape. However, you can still make it a line if you leave it open like that, and you can still outline that. So basically what the technique we're going to be using, since I'm guessing most of you guys won't have any drawing tablets. I know I don't, I probably should, but I know the majority of people out there don't, so I'm accommodating to that audience right now. So yeah, this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to be clicking and making our shape like that, and then we're going to be using an outline to fill that, and then we'll fill it in with colors and stuff to ultimately make our face. So that's the underlying basics of how this thing is gonna work. I just want to make sure you guys are all up to date and know what we're doing here before we jump into all that. So anyways, other thing before we get started, it's really important to keep all your layers organized, meaning naming each layer. If you don't do that, we're gonna have like something crazy like 20 layers, and you're not gonna know which one is which, and it's gonna get really confusing. So just for the sake of sanity, name them as I do, or even adapt your own naming system just so there's no confusion. Alright, all that should be out of the way. Let's get down to the actual business. We're gonna use the pen tool to make our head shape. Keep in mind you can hold down Control and click and drag a pen tool point, and that will allow you to move it. Alright, so I'm just going to make this as close to a square as possible. I don't want my face to be oblong of any sort. There we go. I'm going to try to make this tutorial as short as possible, but there is a lot of content going into this, so I'm sorry if the tutorial is really long. My apologies, it's just a lot's going on here. Alright, so as you can see, I closed it off, and this one's a little bit off point. If I try to drag it now, it'll drag like the whole thing, and I don't want that. So in order to edit individual points yet again, after we've closed a path, we have to add a point by getting our pen tool and clicking on the line between any 2 points. Click it, and then click it again to remove it. And then now we are in the point edit tool, or point edit mode. I don't know. I don't know why that whole process is necessary, but that's what I do. I'm sure there's other ways to do it, but that's what I do. I'm just gonna kind of line it up, have it be square. All right. So now we have our path. It's really great. It doesn't have to be centered and or the right size. Now we can fix that later after we've outlined it. But for now, that is the outline that our head is going to be. I might want to go ahead and round it by holding down Alt and clicking and dragging on a point. You know what? I'm gonna keep my head square for the time being. Just a little FYI there if you want to round any of the path. After making the point, of course, you can always click and drag, and then it'll automatically do it like that, and then you can drag it. But after you've already made the point, you can hold down Alt and click and drag, and it'll do all that stuff. So now, if you notice, we go to the paths thing over here on the right. We were on layers. We go to paths. Now we have our work path, and that is the path that we just made. And basically, when you paint stuff, it goes into the layers, and then when you make paths, it goes in the paths, and yeah. Anyways, let's just go ahead and outline this path by right-clicking and you have to have a layer selected. Yet again, let's go back to that organization thing. I'm just gonna name this head underscore outline, because it's going to be our head, and this is the one that we're outlining on. So now we have a layer selected. We are now going to be able to right click and say stroke path, and then it'll stroke it with the brush we currently have selected. Now I have no idea what our brush is right now, so let me hit B. That's another hot key we're going to be using, B, and that'll bring us to our brush tool. And then right now, this is not what we want to be outlining it with. It's going to look like this. That's not gonna look good. So we want to change our brush. I'm gonna go to this one right here. You can use any of these. It's just the one I like, so don't fret if you don't see that one. Just yeah, pick another one. I'm gonna go around 10 wide. Yet again, experiment with this. By no means, if you're using a different brush, is this gonna work perfectly. And yeah, you can actually go ahead and set a preset if you're going to be switching between brushes. I've gone ahead and done that. I've named it sketching tool. If you want to add a preset, just hit that and name it. So there you go. Oh, maybe I was using a different brush. Yeah, I was using this one. So there you go. Presets will save your butt if you forget which which brush you're using. So anyways, now that's the right size. That looks like what we're going to be outlining with. That looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit bigger. Maybe you can always test how big it is. Alright, so that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good to be outlining with. So yet again, I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be, yeah, I'm using this one, not this one, this one. So yeah, now all we have to do, make sure our head outline layer is selected, go to the path, right click and say stroke path. Select brush, don't simulate pressure, that gives me funky results. And then there you go. That is our head outline. Now, you could get rid of this path right now if you so wanted to by selecting this and deleting it, but we're going to do one more thing with it. We're going to go ahead and create another layer, put this below, and this is going to be our fill layer. So it's going to be head underscore fill. Alright, and then what we want to do is go back to our paths menu and then go to fill path. Now we can click on color, select the color that we want our skin to be. That's like a yellow, and then you change it to be kind of a peach, more on the tan side there. Not sure if that'll look good. Hey, came out looking pretty good. Alright, now I can go ahead and delete my path. There you go. No annoying path marks on my picture anymore. And there we go. We have a head that is outlined. Now, this might not look good right now because we haven't shaded or done any fancy artwork with it yet. It's just a basic outline. We have done nothing to fancy it up. But we're going to go ahead and do this for all the body parts. And then once we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and shade afterwards. That's kind of the order of operations I like to go in. So yeah, that's good. That is our head. Now what we can do is select both these layers by holding down Control and clicking on both, or you could do the bottom one and then shift click on the top one to select a range if there were any between here. And then we're gonna go ahead and click and drag and bring those down to the little folder icon. That'll make a group. We're gonna rename this group. We're gonna rename it to head. So now, once we have like our 20 different body features, all we have to do is twirl it down and have only those ones shown. Makes things so simple. I can't stress how important it is to be organized when you're working with so many layers in Photoshop. Alright, so that is our head. We have all of our head features in here. That is amazing. So that's our first feature done. Now what we can do is, if I were to hit Control T on this layer to move it around, it would be separate. But now if I go ahead and select the folder and hit Control T on it, we can now move everything together. That's really useful. I'm going to go ahead and resize it to the size my head will probably be. I like to keep the distance from the edge of the canvas here equal to the distance of the canvas here. So keep that in mind when you're resizing. Just kind of aesthetic. That's a little bit big of a head. That's a big head. Okay, there we go. I like it. And that's our head down. So give yourself a pat on the back. It's time to move on. Before I forget, make sure you always save. I have done this multiple times in After Effects when I'm doing work in other programs as well. I forget to save, and it's really, really devastating once that happens. So go ahead and find where you want to save it, and then go ahead and save your project. Thank me later. Hello guys and guys, and welcome to another tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how I made my profile picture in Adobe Photoshop. I'm using Adobe Photoshop CC. Of course you can use previous versions. Just keep in mind if a feature is not there, that's because I'm using the latest version of CC as of this recording. Obviously you can use later ones after CC if they come out, and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what I'm be using. So if you want to follow along, just get the same thing as me. And yeah, so I'm going to be showing you guys how I made my profile picture, and then you want it to be 2000 by 2000 pixels. If you are having troubles and it's slow, I would go down to 1000 on both, or even 500 if that's still giving you issues. So yeah, that's just to get rid of lag if you guys don't have the best computers. And yeah, just whatever you do, make sure both these numbers are the same. That way you get a square image. You don't want any rectangles or anything like that. Alright, resolution, Minecraft character, and stuff and things like that. So here we are in Photoshop. First thing you want to do is open a new Photoshop project, and I'm going to name it profile picture. Alright,